So this is what's called a yidam. This is an image that provides the object of meditation, and this is known as taparitsa in the Bon, in the Tibetan Bon tradition, um, as well as a Dzogchen image of the naked Buddha. You'll notice that he's not clothed. He is that representation of pure naked awareness, what is also occasionally called unborn awareness, awareness that doesn't have any kind of fruition or form. It's just pure. Taparitsa was actually an Indian adept, meditation adept in the 7th to 8th century, and seen to be sort of a very early kind of Dzogchen master. And his realization of what's called the rainbow body, the body of light, that witnesses his basically cohort witnessed him sort of transforming into that, and largely why he is regarded as the embodiment of that realization of Dharmakaya, of the wisdom consciousness that arises through cultivation of Dharma teachings, ultimately natural awareness in its ultimate form. And so this is the naked Buddha, or taparitsa. That some of us, I personally really relate to this image because of his simplicity, his sort of reminder of what we're really sort of about when we practice in these traditions that have so much form and so much richness in color and iconography and everything. But he's very simple, and this is the point: is that this unborn awareness, this naked awareness, is already, as Longchenpa has told us in his writing, it is already so constantly present that really it's about quieting the mind through mindfulness, through shamatha, that it arises on its own. We're not trying to fabricate anything out of something. Quite the contrary. We're cultivating ourselves down into utter simplicity, what in Zen we might call suchness. Just a direct perception with no forms, no conditions, no mediation, no filters, seeing things immediately as they are with our awareness. So as we move forward, we'll sort of be considering this as, in a way, a non-intuitive beginning for something that otherwise might seem like, well, Chris, don't we get there after we do a whole lot of other stuff? Maybe. We could do a whole lot of other stuff. And yet, my view is that by laying the foundation first of our motivation, that we have a motivation of easing suffering, of compassion, of selfless, unconditional love for ourselves, for all we experience, for all in suffering, for all beings, ultimately. And that part of that, it is inherent to this naked awareness. It's not separate from that. Of course, we will move into the fierce compassion dimension later. But this is a foundation that we will come back to. After all, these stages are not linear, but they are mutually enhancing, mutually influential, cultivating mindfulness or basic awareness, because it's already natural, it's already there. Not a bad way to start. This is why Longchenpa also makes it clear that the samaya, or what we might call the abhisamaya, which is like the sort of the greatest of the realizations, is ineffability, meaning that you can't really talk about it anymore. You can't name it. When you're really in that zone and the mind is quiet and wide open and you're resting in this wakeful suchness, there's no words for it. You can't explain it to someone else. This ineffability is part of the truth of this kind of wisdom, as is the profound openness, which also includes the heart and includes the love we have. And the depth, the clarity of your presence And finally, the recognition of oneness, that these four are very important.
Mm.
Yeah. So very deep teachings that he brings us in this wise tradition. Yeah. So the remembering piece really is sort of a what we might call a shout out to mindfulness, to sati or smrti in Sanskrit, which is memory. It's that aspect of remembering, um, kind of remembering really what's at the heart of our capacity to be mindful every moment. Remembering to remember when we remember to remember. We remember to be mindful, and
Remember, yeah.
right, and by remembering to be mindful, we are back in touch with the source of that mindfulness that the Buddha tells us about. It's not just, oh, I remember I need to be mindful, but through our training and through our cultivation, we have imprints from our meditation practice. We imprint ourselves whenever we sit. And so it's that subtle memory. Oh, yes. Right. Maybe I can remember this feeling. Maybe I can't. Either way, it's all good. But just remembering the heart of that delicate, gentle presence of being mindful, non judgmental. So it's just remembering. When we're not mindful, we are mindless. In the words of Ellen Langer, who's one of the positive psychology uh, sort of scholars at Harvard in the psych department, she has this great book on mindfulness. But she does not talking about Buddhist mindfulness, but she talks a lot about mindlessness, which I think works. Yeah. I'm mindful constantly. I knock water over. I spilled coffee in my car the other day just because I was being mindfulness. That too is natural. And so we come back though, and this is the essence of mindfulness, is coming back to our own reactive habit bodies, to the breath, and to that which is bearing witness to all of it as it unfolds. We can get angry, but we can still be mindful of the anger and not judge it. So that's where, the remembering is part of that wakefulness. Mindfulness itself is part of that continuum of mindfulness that the Buddha tells us about in the Satipatthana teaching and his teaching on mindfulness. It's already there. It's self-evident when the mind is still. That's the remembering.